Welcome to the neighborhood, Happy Hood the podcast, where we deliver meaningful content to grow your faith, well-being, and leadership skills. Hey neighbor, I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray, lifestyle coach, inspiring others to develop self-worth through leadership applications that will enable them to live in purpose. Happy Hood the podcast.
Finish
Message.
what you started.
Welcome back to the neighborhood, family. Welcome back to the neighborhood. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray, and you are listening to Happy Hood, the podcast. This is where we talk about everything from faith, well-being, and leadership. And today's guest is truly going to inspire you. Our guest today became a millionaire by the age of 30. He wrote 10 books, has created 12 businesses in different fields, including fitness studios, chains, startup incubators, and the first meditation franchise in the world. 8 years ago, he left everything, and he went on a spiritual journey into the jungle of Central America, where he was able to root himself on the island and was able to really foster and create his lifestyle as a business coach with a new perspective. He's been able to link that as a creator and really link that into building his lifestyle. Please welcome to the neighborhood family, Mr. Jean-Luc. How you doing, sir?
Great. I'm so grateful to be on this, to be sharing everything, sharing lessons with your listeners.
Well, cool, man. Well, we are very grateful and honored to have you on the podcast. As we've been able to connect before the recording, one thing that I really admire about you and family, I'll share this with you. You asked me, hey, what do you want your listeners to leave away with? And I felt that was so intentional and so purposeful. And again, family, just to kind of re-anchor you to who we are, Happy Hood is a purpose-driven lifestyle brand. We are committed to creating products and services, holistic products and services for the betterment of humanity. And at the end of the day, what I really want to do for others and build in others is their purpose and their intention. And just kind of hearing you ask that question really just kind of set the tone of who you are, and you living this in very intentional lifestyle that you have been able to really foster and been able to really create. So I guess kind of starting there, Jean-Luc, talk to us a little bit about your background, a little bit about yourself, and really just kind of, if you can, bring us to somewhat of current day. Once you do that, we'll be able to kind of unwrap it a little bit. So kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of bring us to current day, and then we'll allow that to be some of the backdrop of our conversation as we kind of unwrap some of those lessons that you were able to learn throughout your journey.
Okay. Jay, how far do you want me to go back?
Well, that's a good. That's a good question. Well, kind of if you can just kind of summarize what you've been able to do and what you do now, and what was somewhat the catalyst to you being what you're doing now as a business coach, as you now live in Central America. Like, how did you get here?
Okay. Well, what was coming to me was, if I really go as far back as I can, my mother, my grandmother are just selfless lovers,
Mm,
and I think this is an energy that I've been influenced by, taken on, and it serves me as a coach. It served me in sort of from that to wanting to help people so badly, really getting fulfilled by helping people one on one, and that's how I fell into becoming a personal trainer at
mm,
17, and working the front desk and seeing this really this 300 and 50-pound man come into the gym and then wanting to back away. Me supposed to sell him a membership and then him saying, yeah, I'm going to think about it, was really a moment for me to uh, where I said, no, 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 that's not happening. Like you made the first step. Don't give up on yourself. I will help you.
Mm-hmm.
And I started helping that guy 4 days a week for free just because I wanted to help him. And I did that for a year and he got down to 200 pounds. And everyone around, he became a walking billboard. Everyone around was asking after that, like, what are you doing with this guy? Where's the nutrition? And at that time, I was so passionate about helping people get in shape, like feel healthy, and and then that just happened, and then I got really busy, and then all of a sudden I ended up, following that fulfillment to then meeting a mentor that said, "Why, what's your dream?" And he actually said it in a really funny way because I was training him, and he's this multi-millionaire home builder, and he said to me, he goes, "You gonna count reps there your whole life?" And I was like, you think I just count reps?
Yeah.
Like I was like, man, I am like checking out your nutrition. I'm like holistically looking at your life. Like, and he's just like minimized my whole job to just counting reps. And it like
Mm-hmm.
insulted me. And then, but he was just one of these guys. And then what he did was he triggered something in me that was like, there's more to you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because he was hitting a truth.
Yeah.
And he could
Yeah.
see it. He could see the potential, and he was just
Mm-hmm.
so. From there, a year later, after that comment, I had opened my first fitness club. Um, Cost me $250,000. I had no money, so I found the money, and then from there, I opened my first fitness club. I built a team of 10 trainers. That's where I made my first $1 million, and then I opened another location and another one and another one and another one, and I just expanded those. And one day I sold those. But on the journey to selling that one business called Freeform Fitness, it's still alive and going strong today. Um, on the journey there, I was always passionate about giving people the best solution. Like, what is the optimal solution to health? I think I've been obsessed with that since I was 17,
Yeah.
and I was always seeking. And because I had a lot of business clients, I was attracting a lot of stressed out people, and they had high anxiety. And then I would go into researching hormones. How does hormones play into this? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's the cortisol, it's the adrenaline, it's the coffee, it's the lack of sleep, all this stuff. And then I would go into this lifestyle. And then one day I came upon meditation, and it felt like, it's the mind that changes the hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I see a good looking woman go by, my hormones have an effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's right. So it's my perception of life. And so I ended up really giving meditation a shot and just saying, okay, I'm going to try this every day. And I started doing that. And I started to see how it was impacting me, like on so many levels, to be able to sit back and respond to life a little more
Mm-hmm.
instead of being in the chaos of things. And I really thought, wow, this is the solution to so much more than just your personal health. This connects people back to their body. This makes people more intentional, like you said at the beginning. And this is how we solve the world's problems. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to sell the business I'm in, and I need to pursue this because this is bigger than what I thought. So I sold my fitness clubs. uh, I sold the whole chain that I had, and then I just took off, like, really for a year, and started to get into meditation. And I traveled around the world. I went to see different gurus, different classes. I went to different courses in Iceland and California and Arizona. I went,
Mm-hmm.
and just to learn, let go of everything I know, and just just listen
Mhm.
to what's going to come to me.
Mhm.
And I started doing that, and that was a real rabbit hole for me, you know, and psychedelic experiences,
Mhm.
um, you know, a lot of different paths I went down. And then I came back home to Canada, and then I decided, okay, I all this material stuff that I've collected, my
Yeah.
$1 million home, my two Mercedes, all this stuff became completely meaningless to me. And and I didn't care about anything about any material stuff. So I sold everything. Um, I started a meditation studio called the Peace Room, first franchise meditation in the world. It was a sort of bringing advanced projectors. What I wanted to do, the idea was to have a meditation studio in every city around the world where people can go into sort of an oasis and be brought into different experiences that would be like there was projection on the wall of, let's say, a beach. The beach would be going the video, and you were sitting there in meditation, and there was the smell of the ocean, and so
Mhm.
it was like all your senses were submerged into the
Yeah. Yeah.
experience, and then you had a teacher guiding you,
Mhm.
and I did that, and I did that for a year, every day, just saying, okay, I'm in service. This is it. I'm just going to show up every day, and I'm going to do this regardless. And a year went by where I didn't make any profit. And then the after a year, it was January, February. January, I made $20,000 profit. February, I made another $20,000 profit. And it was starting to rise. I had played with the business model enough to
Mhm.
start to make money. And then COVID hit, the whole thing, and we needed to be uh, 6 feet apart, which in my studio that meant like about six people, and financially it didn't make sense anymore. And I had to make a judgment call on letting that go, and whether was this was going to be a 2 week thing or 2 year thing. And I sat in meditation a lot with that, and it told me that this is going to be a long term thing.
Mhm.
And after the first 2 weeks, I shut down the studio, decided to go online, decided I was going to travel, and I bought an RV and I went to Vancouver Island and stayed there for a year, taught meditations there. Um, yeah, did retreats, things like that. And then the group I was with said, "We're going to Nicaragua. You
Mhm.
coming with us?" And I was like, "What? Is this really what the world wants from me?" Like Nicaragua. I'm thinking, man, it has that place doesn't have a very good perception in my mind. The things it's been marketed about. Am I going to go there and it's going to be like these gangsters like
Yeah.
I didn't know what this would be like. So it was a little scary. It was like totally in the unknown, but it felt like that was what was that being asked of me. And I have a
Mhm.
daughter, and she really loves riding horses. And what really
Mhm.
did it for me was horseback riding here was really cheap.
Mhm.
And so she could have so many horses,
Yeah.
and she could just live her passion. And to me, as a dad, to put her in that alignment felt right. So we moved. So I moved down with my ex, and I got here, and then I was alone, and I felt really lost. And I thought, okay, where to? And then everyone was telling me, you got to go to this island, Ometepe Island. This is where your people are. They just felt this vibration. And so I bought a motorcycle and I just drove over, took the ferry, ended up on the island. This is where I'm at now.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I had $130 left in my bank account.
Mhm.
So and I've just telling you this right now is vulnerable because I still feel like loser from it.
Mhm.
Like it's like I took 8 years of just completely letting go of everything, And then getting down to looking at your bank account and seeing $130 in there was like and you're in a third world country, you
Yeah.
don't know that you can't speak the language, and I'm questioning everything. What did I do? What is this? What's going on? And in that darkness, it brought me back to what I do best: coaching. What I was doing when I was 17. And
Hmm.
it's like, so it was just like, start there. And
Yeah.
then I started to look back. I started to look back on my journey, and I'm like, oh, actually, out of the reason I was a successful leader, how I got to $1 million, how I built, all these businesses, and what my role was in my incubator when I was starting businesses every year, was the fact that I help people. Like,
Hmm.
I'm one that will, if you're on my team, I'm going to elevate you.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you believe in yourself. I'm going to show you, guide you the way. And so it just felt natural for me to just step into that role.
Yeah.
And uh, and the second I did, I I committed. I said, okay, this is it, and I committed, and I put one post on Facebook, okay, of my
Hmm.
story. Just, this is what I've done in my life. This is where I'm at. I'm open. I'm opening myself to receive anyone that wants to come in and be coached by me. And I made $7,000 that day.
Wow. Wow.
And yeah, and then the next week
So
I made another 7,000.
so again, I'm digesting this and really processing this. And I don't know if you noticed, but I've been putting my head down because I'm writing. I'm writing some thoughts here. Um, because I want to take a moment just for our listeners to marinate on a lot of things that you just said. And as we think about kind of just peeling back and kind of unpacking certain things, I think one of the biggest thing is that you was always operating in your calling, because again, fam, we're gonna, I think this is really gonna be talking about like purpose driven and being intentional. And one thing that I'm learning about managing your calling is that there's times where you will be in the harvest season where your calling is truly producing the fruit that is fulfilling your soul, is fulfilling uh you physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Then there's times where I feel like our calling is in a planting season where we need planted, you know, and just kind of hearing you at times where it's almost where you had to lose it to gain it, right? It was those moments where I had to lose everything to gain it, to gain what I actually needed, right? This ability to kind of go through this purging where I had to purge things away that wasn't growing in order for me to be more fruitful. And you kind of mentioned a couple things. Um, when the guy told you, "Are you just going to count reps?" Right? Of how that made you feel, of someone not necessarily belittling you, but really seeing more potential in you. Because I remember those moments where I never forget one of my good buddies, he came to my desk and he said, "Man, how long you gonna be working on someone else's passion?" And to where I came mad. I was mad that he said that, right? Because I feel like when we have those moments where someone is calling us out, It's like getting to our core. It's getting to our soul. It's getting to our calling, because it's almost they disrupt us. It's a disruption that we feel, because he said, like, yo, how long you gonna be working on someone else passion? When you gonna work on your passion? And that was like, for me, it's like, oh, I do have a passion. It was the wake up call that I needed. I didn't like at the time, but I needed it. Like, was that moment when that guy said that to you? As you said, you felt kind of frustrated. It's like, nah, it's not just what I do. But how did that really push you to really go after in the way that, you know what, I can do this. I can do some other things. You know, if you kind of take us back to that moment, what was it really that really started to get the wheels going, that really kind of pushed you out there from that statement?
I would say so. He, he was like a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
This guy that I was helping, right?
Yeah.
And I think he saw in me. I was a I was a bodybuilder in my early days. So I won Canadian champion, seventh in the world in natural bodybuilding when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
So he saw the degree to which I can commit and be self-disciplined and
Mm-hmm.
focused and be perseverant. Uh, so he felt that, I believe,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
when he said that to me, it was like, yeah, it was a triggering moment, but he gave me structure. That's why I'm going with where I'm going with this is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fatherly structure, because he
Mm-hmm.
said, "What is your dream?" And then when I said, "Well, maybe one day I'd like to open a gym," I hadn't even thought of the idea very much.
Yeah.
And he said, "When are you going to open it?" And then I said, "Well, I don't know. I got to think about this." And then I said, "Next time I work out with you, right?" I said, "I'll have an answer for you." So I
Yeah.
went home. A few days later, I was training him again, comes in the gym. And first thing he says to me, "When are you opening?" Like, before he even says hi. "When are you
Yeah.
opening the gym?" And then I said, "A year from now." And he said, "You can do it in 6 months."
Mm,
And I
mm.
was like, Jesus, this guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes, "You can do it in 6 months." But the reality is, I was open in 3 months,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like, he really, at its root, made help me believe in myself.
Yeah.
And this is what I do to people now.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is my purpose now. What Claude, his name is Claude, God rest his soul, he's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But Claude transferred this purpose over to me,
Mm-hmm.
transferred this energy over to me. It's very clear to me that this is my purpose now,
Mm.
to help people believe in themselves. Because I believe, I've come from nothing, and I've, you know, I've reached the financial goal, but then I've also just really was able to get whatever I wanted in life.
Yeah.
Like,
What do you
wow.
think? What do you think? What sounds very simple, like for him to just say, "Hey," that first of all, to keep asking you and bringing it to the forefront of your mind. When you gonna do it?
Mhm.
Right? The push, right? The push that I think is so critical. But when you think about at its core, right? Why do we not all go out and do that? Like, why do we not go out and chase our dream? Like, what limit us or prevents us from really living a purpose driven life?
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, um, it's definitely about self worth. I
Yeah.
believe it's like, you only accept the love you think you deserve.
Mm,
You only accept the abundance if you believe that you deserve it.
yeah.
And um, and all it takes is one person to see it in you. That's what, yeah, right. The magic. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't even questioning that yet, and then he sees something in me, and then yeah, like you said, so simple. Like, what do you want, and when do you want it?
Yeah.
You know, and then for me to go like, wow, do I deserve something so grand? Like to,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time, like, do I deserve
Mm-hmm.
to? Am I worthy of owning my own gym?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Mm-hmm.
that was a big move, 250,000. You know, like,
Yeah.
and then taking the leap and then conquering that goal. You know, it's like that's how confidence is built. You know,
Yeah.
just little bite-sized chunks
Little
of
bite-sized
success.
chunks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say worthiness, you know,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful how we can inspire that in people.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that it's almost when I think about that and hearing your story, I think about we all, in my belief, we all were created to create. So when I think about that, it's like we all, in my belief, have God given talents and gifts that part of our purpose is to get them out. And when I say to get them out, is to use them to not only serve a fulfillment in us, but also to serve others as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it creates this connection, it creates this bond that we all have, and we all have a common of being human. It's the humanity in us, you know, to do that. And when you were at the height of all that, like having your gym, having all these things, like what was the feeling or the thoughts or the event that caused you to be like, this is not it. This is only serving one part of me. I'm still missing. I'm still feeling the void in other areas. Like
Mm-hmm.
what was that feeling? What was those conversations like when you were thinking about, you know what? I need to let all this go.
Hmm. Yeah, it's to me it's like following my the fire in my belly,
Mm,
you know, and if I don't feel enthusiasm for what I'm doing, I know it's not. It's time to let go
yeah.
because in theoism, right? In enthusiasm, in theo, in God,
Mm-hmm.
it's a godly thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
to go inwards and to feel the
Yeah.
excitement you have for the project you want to go move forward with, you know,
Yeah.
to me that's always the guide,
Yeah.
right? So when I reached a peak of financial wealth and material wealth, luxuries, there was no fire about that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. The fire wasn't that. The fire was helping people and getting curious about, like, letting the fire guide me, which is similar to curiosity, you know, to go, oh, like there's something more, you know. And it was for my client, the person I'm in service to, more than it was for me. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think I was really looking at myself for this. It was more like I was in search of optimal health.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've always been, even since I'm 17. So even though I'm helping people make money now,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about making money. It's about making money, having purpose, and having free time so you can spend time with family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's this. it's not a linear view. It's like just follow your fire, that curiosity. And then of course when you're at the top and you have to let go of everything because your fire is telling you to go elsewhere, even though it's not even financially, you can't logically come to reason of it.
Yeah.
I just had to say, like, forget it. It doesn't matter. I got to let go of this and move in this direction. And I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know if I'm going to end up poor on the street. I don't know, but I'm going to keep going in that direction, you know?
Yeah.
And I still, to be honest, I still look at that 8 years and I still haven't really grasped what it's given me. Like
Mm.
I tell my fiance, I say like, man, it's like some days I feel like it was a big waste of 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, like, and she reminds me like, no, 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 like it's not, like everything you are today is like these experiences you went through. And I'm like, I have trouble with that because I think I've been, from a young age, very competitive, wanting
Mm-hmm.
to win, the bodybuilding, this, high achiever, this kind of thing. And then to almost validate myself based on that score, you know? So I do sometimes look back and look back with a sort of regret, yeah, of like what would have happened if I would have kept going,
Yeah.
you know. I tell my fiance that like I had a little downer moment with myself, like I was like, I would be probably like, I don't know, if I would have kept going sort of in the entrepreneurial route, I'd probably be like hundreds of millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
at this point. But now it's like I'm building up again.
Yeah.
I'm on the way. I've been back into coaching for 8 months, and I love everything about it. There's so much fire there,
Yeah.
but it's hard sometimes to not score yourself to the old way of doing things.
It's just listen to the birds in the background. That's
Yeah.
I mean, like, as you were saying, a couple things came to my mind. Because I think those are real feelings. And not to like dismiss anything that you just said. And thank you for, first and foremost, thank you for being open and being vulnerable and really demonstrating authenticity to really be yourself and say, you know what, there's some good times about what I did, and there's also times where I even doubt myself, because that's that's the reality of it, right? That's the reality of it. Um, One thing you said that I had to really come to grips was success. And you kind of mentioned this as you went on your meditation journey, where I believe you said I had to, in so many words, unlearn what I thought I knew and learn all these new things, right? I had to allow it to somewhat disrupt my traditional thinking and be the agitator that I needed to forge me to this new direction. And I think that sometimes is when we go through these moments of really living a purpose driven life, and really at moments having times where we're comparing ourselves to your point, to the scoreboard. It's comparing ourselves to the that traditional way of thinking, you know, of what does good looks like, what does right looks like, what does, success looks like, and how our culture, how the as we know, living here, or as was living here, the American and the Western world type of view of what success looks like, But when we get really deep into it and really have a moment to unlearn some things and really go to those dark places, like I sometimes I feel like dark places serves a purpose. Like we need times where we are shedding and we are going through processes where we're shedding ourselves and we're shedding those old thoughts, those old beliefs, and we now are rebuilding this new frame of mind, right? To where it's like I had to come to a moment, it's like, no, that's not what success is to me. Success is to me is completing X, Y, and Z. Success is me sometimes can't be measured by a number. It can only be measured by a feeling of accomplishment or a satisfaction or seeing something else, as you mentioned, my kids seeing me in this magnitude, in this capacity, right? Because hearing you say that, and and again going back to where you talked about that 17-year-old boy of coming back to your why, being anchored to your why of, man, I love helping people. I love coaching people. I love inspiring people. I love motivating people. And
Getting chills. Yeah.
if that doesn't, if it doesn't feed me, or if it doesn't satisfy me in those areas, I can't do it, right? I can't be that type of person because it doesn't soothe my soul, you know? And family, this is how you get into establishing boundaries. Because Jean-Luc, you mentioned it, like if it doesn't, if it doesn't have a return on my investment, right? If it doesn't make me money, if it doesn't give me ability to buy more time, if it doesn't serve my sense of purpose, it's nothing that I really need to entertain about. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to entertain about that. And I'm wondering, from when you was able to walk in that clarity, did you feel yourself making better decisions, or what do you feel is the benefit of walking in that type of clarity when you're able to establish these type of boundaries of, here's what I'm intentional about, here's what feeds my intention, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, Jay, I love you. I love this conversation. I have like a few things that are coming to mind right now. First of all, you
Yeah.
talked about the birds. The bird eats seeds and worms. We look at it, we hear it sing. It's beautiful, but it is made on destruction,
Mm,
right? It is made. It is eating things, that is destroying other things. So it's like the
mm,
darkness. When we talk about the darkness, it's like we tend to just see the bird, the beauty, and the sound, but
yeah.
underneath it all, there is this cycle, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I do believe that it's in these dark moments that it really clarifies things, right? Like when you put something out there and your soul just says, okay, this is what, in my darkness, I put this post on Facebook and it resonates for a reason, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everyone, all of a sudden, it's like this commitment creates this alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And then the world showed me what they were willing to pay me for,
Mm,
right? Because a lot of times you're sitting there wondering, okay, well, is this what I should be doing? Is that should,
yeah.
and then maybe you put it out there and no, there's not really any traction with that. There's not really traction with that. But when you put something out there and it's directly like, boom, okay, like first client, second client, and it's like, okay, obviously there's resonance there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and, and to that point, there's also what's coming to mind is like I do one thing that I've always done, and that actually the whole spiritual path has brought me back to, is martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do martial arts, there's this thing that if you start with escapes, Okay, so if we're doing grappling together
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I teach you, let's say I'm teaching you martial arts, I want to teach you escapes first. I want to show
Mhm.
you how to survive first. And if I
Mhm.
can show you how to survive, you're more likely to take risks.
Mhm.
Because when you
Mhm.
feel like if I get your back, you know how to defend that,
Yeah.
then you will be able to then take a risk and give your back away because you don't care. It's okay, you can
Mhm.
get out. And
Mhm.
this is a sort of analogy I'm telling you is like
Yeah.
when you've been to the bottom and you feel safe,
Mm.
when you feel like I lived in a tent for 3 months throughout this journey,
Mm.
and all I ate was what was given to me and what was offered to me for 3 months in a tent in the jungle, and and I felt the support of God,
Mm.
and I felt like, wow, you know what? Like a lot of this money making when I was younger was this fear of being poor. But then I put myself in a position where I can face that fear
Mm.
and I will live poor and see how that is, you know? And when I live that way, I realize God has my back no matter what. Because you know what? I met people that helped me. And that was really powerful because the sense of security you get, to bring it back to the martial art, is like I know how to survive now. So I can then put up boundaries for money when it's not in alignment, right? So a few weeks ago, this guy wanted me to work in the week, and I only work on Sundays. I only work coaching on Sundays. That's all I do. I'm not going to do it on Monday or Tuesday. And he tried to bribe me with more money. And it was like, no, no, man. Like, I can't be bought, you know,
Woo!
because I'm, yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So then it's like you face this depth of like security in yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can give you a little story too, that when the day I left the tent,
Mhm.
okay, the day I left my tent, and I didn't have a cell phone, I didn't have anything. Okay. So getting around in a foreign place, no cell phone, no communication, nothing, right? I put full trust in God. And then one day I just sort of woke up and I got this sense that it's time for me to change. And I just went over to this place. It's called El Pital on this island. And I showed up there with no real intention, but a weird feeling. And I sat down, and the owner happened to be sitting at the table with where I was. And he was sitting there and he kind of had his hands on his head and just sort of like seemed frustrated. And
Mhm.
I just said, "Hey, what's up? Like, how's it going?" And he goes, all right." And I said, "No, no, like, you seem like something's wrong." And he said, "Oh, you know, it's a low season right now. And I'm not getting a lot of bookings in, and I need help. I need to find help somehow to get this place activated." And I just said, "You're looking at him. Here I am. I will help you." I said, "Give me food and give me a place and a bed, and this is what I do best."
Mm.
And I
Mm.
just started putting on music jams. I went and got all
Mhm.
the artists. I went and get all the artists on the island. I said, "We're doing jams every week." And that brought the whole community together around
Mhm.
music, and the place was jammed, you know, after in a very short amount of time. And that sort of ignited the fire again to start moving into this, like, okay, here
Yeah.
we go, I'm back.
Mhm. Mm.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. It's just allowing it to marinate, family. So y'all just bear with me because one thing you say about that dark place of where you had a fear of being poor or facing poorness, you know.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until you were in a period or in a moment where you felt you're at your wits end or you felt poor, right? I still believe poor is a mentality. Um, it's a mindset. But as you were in that position, that posture, as you mentioned, going back to the martial arts of understanding these survival tips, these escapes, it wasn't until you was put in that position that you was able to learn it. And I say that, family, because many times, and I'm speaking myself, and I heard someone say that lessons will continue to present themselves to you until you are ready to learn them. And that
Mm.
one
Mm, mm,
thing,
mm.
whatever it is, if it's insecurities, if it's whatever, if it's fear, like it's until we're able to embrace it that we're able to see that, oh, it was just false evidence appearing real. You know, it was really, it was nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't,
yeah.
it was nothing. It's like I had, and I think those moments, even myself, like having a scarcity fear. And I think again, if you ask me, family, like kind of being in this very consumer centric type of uh place that we live in, that being in the, in America, is that the opposite of us consuming is not consuming and feeling that we don't have enough. Therefore, we consume more. So the fear of scarcity comes in because we feel like we don't have enough of things. So when you start to kind of unpack that and really think about it and really embrace it, you start to realize, yeah, it was just an illusion. It was something that, it was something else that was there. And the moment of you embracing, that's why, like, embrace your fears, like embrace them, because that's where the growth happens, right? That's where the growth happens. That's where the becoming revitalized, rehabilitated, you know, because I believe we do at times have passion fatigue. And I think it's just moments where our passion is evolving and it's going through the stages, just like the seedling, and it has to die and it has to come back out, you know, more more seeds. When you think about like leaves on the ground, and seeds have to fall down, you know what I'm saying, when a flower or some type of vegetation die for new growth to come up. And I think about that from my own walk, and just us as humans at times, with again going back to our calling, going back to our purpose, going back to what is fulfilling us. It's those moments where we're embracing fear to grow, right? To get new growth. Because what we had before, it was, it helped us in the season, but it's not something that we need now. It's like we need a new type of growth in the season that we're in now. And it's like to see you have those moments and to take it at that moment of feeling that, feeling like that, and understand, to your point of this, the spiritual connection that you found, like, oh, God got me. What was I really scared of? Right? Like what was I really scared of? Right? And it's just so, it's
Yeah, like what are the odds that the day I leave that I get to this place and the owner asks is putting me in front of
yeah,
the opportunity directly, that is a big skill set of mine, bringing people together. And it just, it just became very obvious that God's got your back
yeah,
and it's okay. Like
yeah,
everything
yeah,
is perfect.
yeah,
And and so it's like, okay. And I think to that point around fear, right? I wrote a book called Fuck Fear, by the way, if you guys, but
Great
it's called
title.
Fuck Fear and Follow Your Dreams. Yeah. But there's another story that I ran into this man when I had the RV, that I want to share this story because I think it relates to all this.
Hmm.
This with the RV, I had this. I would go park at different people's places. Right, it's an app that I forget what it's called, but people
Hmm.
give their driveways up, and you can go and put your
Yeah.
RV there. So I went and did that, and I got to this one place, and the land was beautiful. This like nice piece of land, and right on the water, these big rocks, and I just went right to the water, and there was the man there that owned the property that was staying there, and I start talking to him, and he's maybe like in his maybe 60, around that age. And I said, it's beautiful here. It's so peaceful. I love it. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I don't leave this place anymore. You know. I said, no. He goes, no. I just had a heart attack. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. It's my third one. And my instant reaction was like, what's the lesson? Like, how do you go through three heart attacks? Like, what is that like? I don't know. Like, I want to know. And he goes, oh my God, it's totally transformed me. He goes, but you know what? The first heart attack, I just went right back to what I was doing. Second heart attack, I went straight back to what I was doing. He goes, it took three heart attacks
Yeah.
for me to change the way I was living, my lifestyle. And did you get that, or did it glitch?
No, I got that. I got that.
Okay.
It took
So
the
it took
third one
it
for him
took
to change his lifestyle. Go
it
ahead.
took yeah, okay. So it took the third one, bypass surgery, and he goes, this time it scared the shit out of him. He was like,
Hmm.
whoa. And I said, what changed? What happened? He goes, first thing I did when I left the hospital is I called my kids and I told them I don't want any shares in their business anymore, which I thought was interesting. He said he didn't know why he had done that. Like, he was holding on to a little bit of shares, and like this responsibility of having this, and
Hmm.
like this holding on for some reason. He goes, I just called him up. I said, keep all the shares. I don't want anything to do with it. He
Yeah.
said, I called my manager. I said, I'm not coming into my work anymore. I'm going to work from here. I'm going to work from the land I'm at. The manager was like surprised, but said he'd figure it out. Hello?
Yeah. I'm still here.
Okay. Did you get that?
Yeah, I got it. Call the manager. The manager said we'll figure it out.
Right. So he said, you just run the business. I'm just going to stay here.
Hmm.
And the manager said, okay. And the business still ran, you know, and everything went well. But he told me something that really shocked me, because he goes, I built all these successful businesses. He goes, if you ask me now what I would do, he goes, I would rather pump gas and talk to people than put that much stress on my body again. And it just made me just sort of like, whoa, like, pump gas. I mean, it was just this feeling that this guy had never listened to himself,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
had never
Wow.
listened to his body, to that
Yeah.
fire that's
Yeah.
saying, go in this direction,
Yeah.
drop this, let that go.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was stuck in a pattern, and he did that, and it took three heart attacks. So listeners, don't wait,
Mm.
don't wait. Don't wait till your health is, you know, breaking down for you to make changes. If you feel it,
Yeah.
move in that direction.
Yeah. 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 I was going to ask you. From time to time, I like to ask as we kind of close out. Um, how would you define one of our mantras here at Happy Hood is finish what you start, and just kind of hearing that story. Um, you definitely have to finish what you start. listening to your soul, listening to that fire, listening to God, and listening to what is truly fulfilling you. Money is one thing,
Mm.
but it's not everything, right? And if it's not a holistic fulfillment, to where, in my opinion, where it's feeding your spirit, it's feeding your physical, it's feeding your emotion, your mental, there's a sign right there, you know, because at the end of the day, like, you want to be happy, and you want to be at peace. And there's so many things that we are taught to, we have to have this, the house, the cars, the this and that, and all this other stuff.
It's all meaningless.
It's all meaningless. It's all meaningless. And it's like life is like finding that abundance that speaks to you. That
Yeah,
abundance that
like
speaks to you.
last week, I got to ride a horse with my daughter up a volcano. She gets to ride free everywhere,
Mm,
all around the island. You know, how much that lights me up as as a father.
yeah.
This is the fire.
Yeah.
At first it was me, but now it's like her, and it's like, wow,
Hmm.
whatever. I think what's coming out of this interview for me that I'm learning about myself just as we're talking, this discovery is like this line: follow the fire.
Yeah.
Just follow this fire, and you will face fears that
Yes.
will say, oh man, you shouldn't go there, and all the voices will say, like, don't, that's probably a bad logical strategic move.
Hmm.
But it's like, face it,
Yeah.
just like. And to me, it's like when you were talking about fear, what was coming up is like, I like to think of like, facing fear is the only way, like, go through is the only way. And
Mm.
if not, we live small, we live really small. And if we can find our edges and
Hmm.
move towards the edges, we expand it. It doesn't mean that direction is right for you,
Yeah.
but you will have learned the limitation of where that journey gets you, right?
Hmm.
It will give you that edge. You'll know where the edge is, whether it's for you or not. And when somebody
Yeah.
says, hey, do you want to do this, no, I've been there,
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's like, I've always, in the last 8 years, it was this: find, like, face these fears in order to find your middle way. Like a blind
Hmm.
man having a cane and having to hit something on the edge to
Hmm.
know in an alleyway, click, 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 these are my edges and this
Yeah.
is my middle way.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. 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 Great. Wow. Let that marinate, family. Let that marinate. This is the middle way, finding the middle way. Jean-Luc, how can people contact you, learn more about what you're doing?
Well, you can check out just coachjeanluc.com. And I have all my social media links there. I have a product there for leadership, time management, leadership, operating system,
Mm,
and group coaching and one-on-one coaching. But coachjeanluc.com, you'll find everything, and you'll see me on every platform. I'm in my purpose. I'm in my calling. I am on fire, and I'm gonna keep going. And you will
let's go.
hear, you will see.
Let's go. Let's go, family. I hope that this has truly, I know it has inspired me. And I pray that has inspired you and motivate you. Jean-Luc, I want to thank you for being our guest, for coming here on Happy Hood the podcast. Family, always know that you were created for greatness. So no matter what life may bring you, always love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. Till next time, be blessed.
Hmm.